Have you ever dreamed about having a holiday on the waterways on a narrowboat? Today I'm going to talk about the best way for you to do this, what you need to try, and to make it stress free. I'm also going to include things about disability or um, long term health conditions so that it makes it easier for people who are less able to enjoy narrowboat holidays. Hiring a narrowboat can be super physical. Not only have you got to be able to get on and off the boat holding a rope, it might still be moving or unbalanced. And you also need to think about things like locks, so they can be strenuous, but there are ways of doing this that make it less physical. So I've hired boats in previous years and I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. And I'm not a particularly physical person, I'm not the most fittest person in the world. I tend to go away with my mum, who um, her job was to look after the dog and really nothing, make cups of tea, nothing more than that. So she is on board with me, and generally hire boat companies won't rent out less than two people. Now, a lot of that is about safety and making sure somebody is with you, especially as a new boater. And it, like I say, it can be super strenuous, but you just need to find ways around it to make it comfortable for you. You might be one of the super active people that are really happy to just get out there and do all the locks and do like the Cheshire Ring in a week or something crazy. But you can have a super peaceful holiday. You can come out of like the marina where your boat is, toddle on down the canal, take 3 days to get to a little spot, stay there, enjoy yourself, enjoy the surroundings of the English countryside, all lock free without it being too strenuous, and just enjoy it. Have a nice time. Now, when I tell you that my first hire boat was a baptism of fire, I am not joking. They give you so much tuition, like really thorough. So you know everything from how to pull in, how to tie a rope, how to navigate, how to maintain the engine, because nobody tells you this either. When you hire a boat, you need to make sure that your engine keeps ticking over. So every night when you pull in, you need to make sure things like you've greased the stern gland, things like that. I know it's all alien at the beginning, but it's fine. It's really not that difficult. But you need two people, at least two, on the tuition with you when you're hiring a boat, because it's such a lot of information to take in. So that was mistake number one, in the sense that one of us might have zoned out, and that probably wasn't me. But hey, we've had lovely holidays on boats. It's been amazing. Had the best time. Have to say, might have pranged a few bridges here and there, and I really regret doing that. But it does happen. They say that narrowboating is a contact sport. Personally, I don't like it to be, because I'm super aware as a hirer that I am a hirer. I'll get the blunt end of the stick if someone fires up at me. I'd feel dreadful if I hit somebody's home. There are so many narrowboaters out there that live on their boats. And as you go by, you can see things like vases on tables full of flowers, or somebody sat there actually working, The last thing you want to do is hit their boat. So, yeah, I haven't done that yet. However, what I have done is I've done what is known as a Suez, where I got pulling into more up a little bit wrong, and I went up on a silt bank. So I decided, like, I was really tired, I had a pain in my stomach, and I just thought, I've got to just pull in and have a break. I was so tired, I'd listened to all the tuition, it was like day one, literally just left the marina a few hours back. I was exhausted, and so I've pulled in, and as the boat came in, rather than it coming alongside the towpath nice and straight, it did this. So I panic, put the boat into reverse, and it did that straight across the canal. So I had one end of the boat tucked into the silt near the towpath, and I had the other end of the boat in the bank in the reeds, and I just did not know what to do. So yeah, panicking Claire on the back of a boat whilst Mum just had hold of the dog, because he could just feed off me and tell that I was panicking. So he was trying to get off the boat, which was it just became really chaotic in my memory. It's just my like heart palpitations and sweating, and just getting really panicky, which actually there's no need to get panicky. As long as you're not sinking. I laugh, but yeah, please don't sink. Um, Other boaters, let me tell you, other boaters, whether you're a hirer or another boater, like out on the water all the time, are super nice, like really salt of the earth people, and they will help you wherever they can. So I had a boat behind me and a boat in front of me. Of course, that panics me as well. But no, a few people got off the boats, came up to me, said, "Are you okay?" They jump on board. They just gently pushed the boat with the noses of their boats to get me straightened back up. Somebody moored me up, pulled me in. To be honest with you, I had a proper cry and a cup of tea, and then I was fine. But you know what? These things happen. But honestly, the boating community is fantastic. So just going back to hiring a boat. So you need to think about your ability of how many locks do you think you can do in a day. I I think boats take about 15 to 30, maybe 45 minutes each to get through, depending on how big they are. Sometimes you have locks, you have CRT volunteers who are, like I've said in previous blogs, they are fantastic people again. And they'll get you through locks, or they'll ask you or somebody on board with you to help them. So they're there between, I think it's March and October, like the end of September. So they're generally around. However, you can do it lock free. I've heard previously from ABC boats, Black Prince, and Culcut boats. And you can find routes on their websites that are essentially lock free depending on how far you go. Now, when I went out with the Culcut boats, their wharf with their hire boats in, it's actually between locks, which, having never done locks before, scared the life out of me. But I spoke to them beforehand. I told them how I was feeling, and they help you through that first lock, whether you're experienced or not. They are all hands on deck. They appear from nowhere. Loads of these people from Culcut boats are just phenomenal, and they'll get you through, and off you go. You're done. You're on your own. Actually, that's not true because they do spend quite a time with you on the boat. They make sure you can pull in and then they get off. So don't panic. So not only do you get tuition, people like Culcut boats will get you through the first lock, and then you can go lock free for quite a way, but they'll stay on the boat with you for, I'd say, at least a good half hour, maybe 45 minutes before they jump off your boat. Now, not every hire boat company does this. I've known some that literally take you from the wharf, not even 10 minutes down the canal, and then they jump off. I was told this was for insurance reasons. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. If you're uncomfortable, you're a little bit concerned about the logistics, phone them and get to know them a little bit and kind of ask them how they do it. So yeah, just communicate with them and see if you like the boat company, that kind of thing. Or one other thing you could do, if you're near a boat company, go and sit there and just watch how they operate. So yeah, that's the top tip from me. Another thing you can do before you go out on your narrowboat holiday is take helmsman's course or an experience day. Now, I've done an experience day and it was wonderful. I had a great day. It was really hard. Stood on the back of a boat for 8 hours, a few breaks, but it's hard work. And just being stood on the back of a boat is not to be underestimated because even though you're going at probably less than a walker's pace on the towpath, as a hirer, well, maybe it's just me, I do feel a lot of stress when I'm going along. I'm enjoying the countryside and I'm enjoying the motion of being on a boat and I love it. I absolutely love it, but it's really scary. So people like Culcut boats do the helmsman's courses. So what you could do, say, book your helmsman's course from like on a Monday and take your hire boat out on the Tuesday. So if you can get them in together, then that's ideal. So yeah, have a look and have a think about that before you take a hire boat out. Lots of people go out without any sort of courses or any sort of training because, like I said, you get tuition. But if you're going to be narrowboating in the long term, or you're thinking about hiring and then buying your own boat, I would say a helmsman's course would be ideal. I've got a feeling Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think you get a discount off your boating insurance if you've done the helmsman's course. And then it comes to choosing the size of the boat you hire. Now, you can get anything from, let's say, like 35 feet, which is probably comfy for two people. I've hired 45 feet for two of us, so that would be a bedroom, bathroom, kitchenette, and then the lounge area, which converts into a bed. Because I've also hired a 57-foot boat, which had two, no, it might have been longer than that. It had two bedrooms. It was big. It was a big boat, and it's the first boat I ever hired. And I kind of look back and think, ooh, that might have been a little too large for a first go. I mean, some people are perfectly fine with that size boat. Personally, me, I'd rather have a little less space in a smaller boat. But yeah, just consider what you'd feel happier with. Just a quick side quest here. If you're thinking of buying a narrowboat, I've got a guide that covers all the costs involved. It's super affordable and costs less than £5. You can find a link in my YouTube bio or in the description for this vlog. It's definitely worth a look. And if you're enjoying this vlog, then please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to follow. Your support means the world to me. Thank you very much. Planning your route for your holiday. There are maps to be bought. This is the Pearson's guide, and I love these because they look beautiful. They're so pretty. And then the other guide, which is super amazing, is the Nicholson's guide. So I'm just going to open it at a random page just to show you how it looks. Oh, so this is the map of the Leighton Buzzard area, and it will show you on there where the locks are, which are, you can tell which are the locks because they're like little V's. And then it will show you where the turning points are, where you can turn your boat. A note on turning points. If you need to turn your boat on a canal, you need to know how long your boat is, and you need to see where the turning points are. It will tell you what the maximum length is of a boat that you can turn in the turning point. That's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? But it's really important you know that, because you don't want to get to a turning point where you've got a 67-foot boat and the turning point is for 45 foot, because you won't be able to turn your boat in that. The other thing, so yeah, tunnels, locks, turning points, it's all mileage, it's all by the mile as well, so you can see exactly how many miles you're going to travel in a day. I probably wouldn't recommend doing more than 10 miles on your first day. By the time you've done all the tuition, all the unpacking, all of that, driven to wherever you're going to leave your car, I would say just take it easy on that first afternoon and then plan your route. But also, the thing to remember is that if you say, oh, I'm going to start here and I'm going to finish here, you might get to here and there'll be no mooring. So you need to make sure you can spot where the moorings are and make sure they are visitor moorings, not residential moorings. So differentiate those on your map as well. And then just consider for a moment that your day might be longer than you realise, because when you get to the moorings, they might be completely full. So you might have to go for a bit longer than you assumed. So I would say if you've got 4 hours of daylight left, do 2 to 3. Just be a bit sensible about that. But yeah, these lovely canal maps, yeah, I love them. I love them just because of how they look. I'm just going to show you the lovely map on this one as well, just so you can get an idea of what it looks like. I have been watching narrowboat YouTube vlogs for years, and a lot of vloggers have very helpfully kind of said, oh, this is a nice little mooring spot, or don't come here because of X, Y, Z. And I've written notes in my little maps on little post-its, and I've stuck them in the pages where I think I might be one day. So that's another idea, actually, is to go onto YouTube, look at the route you're going to do, because it's no doubt it's been covered at some point by a vloggy YouTuber, wonderful person. So it just to get you kind of thinking about any challenges you might face, like staircase locks, things like that. So yeah, That's really insightful. The other thing to think about is food. The error we made on our very first hire boat was we assumed that as you go along the canal, there'd be lots of shops, there'd be lots of pubs, etc. We took enough food for about 3 or 4 days. We set off. We were exhausted. We got into a few kerfuffles. And then we just stopped for about 3 nights in the same place and slowly ran out of food. So either take food with you or make sure you go far enough to get food. We obviously survived. I'm here. It's fine. We survived. The other things to think about is water. Sometimes the boats you hire are a lot older. They have steel tanks which the water goes into, which you have to fill up yourself. So they'll tell you how to do that. Don't worry about that. But that water sometimes is for bathing and for dishwashing only. So think about taking bottled water with you. Generally, boats come with all sorts of equipment that you might need, like life jackets, and sometimes they have little raincoats or umbrellas that you can use. But take things with you to just smooth out your holiday. You don't want to be stressed at any point. So if you have a pet like a dog with you, take a life jacket for your dog because you just want to make sure that they're okay, especially if they've never been on a boat before. First couple of times I took my dog, he didn't like the sound of the engine, so he got a little bit scatty and a little bit nervous, but he's okay now. In retrospect, I would have bought maybe some calming biscuits for him, so he would have been a little more chilled than he was. Things like sunscreen, um, and emergency numbers. When you get on board, even though you've had all this tuition, there is generally a booklet that gives you all the information you need if you forget anything. And in that booklet will be emergency numbers. The other thing to note is when you moor up, take note of your what 3 words location, because should you need any emergency service for any reason, whether that's for you or somebody walking down the towpath, you need to know where you are. And saying I'm near a bridge on the Oxford Canal probably isn't going to cut it. You need to know exactly where you are. So it sounds really boring, but I think that's ever so important. So the prices of boating holidays, the cheapest boat holiday I found for a week is about around the £700 to £800 mark for the week. You pay £100 deposit, which you get back depending on how much fuel you've used. So they take your fuel cost out of that £100 deposit. And generally for newer boats, you'll pay a lot more. So I've seen boats for a week probably in the £1,400 to £1,600 mark. Now, if there's 4 of you aboard, that makes it a really affordable holiday. But if you're going cheap and cheerful, just be aware that you might have more maintenance to do on the boat. The boat might be a little bit more dated. But to be honest, you're all getting the same experience of being out there on the English countryside, and it is stunning, let me tell you. Now, if you have a long-term health condition or disability of any kind, I would say making your life easier by getting a newer boat might help, because I've hired newer boats where they generally didn't need much maintenance at all. And I've hired older boats that have needed a lot more TLC every single day. Whether you're moving them or not, you will have to start the engine to make sure that you've got warm water. Sorry, I've got fluffy dog fur on my face. Hazards of having a lovely fluffy dog. And the reason I mention this for people with disabilities or long-term health conditions is because to do the maintenance is below feet level. So you need to open up the engine hatch, put your head and your shoulders down into the engine bay. And that doesn't sound like much for people who have no disability or like no backs and things like that. So you need to be aware that this maintenance might take it out of you. So just give yourself extra time, take it easy, give yourself plenty of breaks, don't overstretch yourself, and just be aware of things like that you'll need to do every day. Suffice to say that hiring a boat is a magical way to see the countryside. It is beautiful. Just do it at your own pace and just thoroughly enjoy yourself. And I would say to people who are unsure about hiring, take yourself somewhere where you can watch people who are hiring boats. Find out where your nearest hire is and go and sit there and watch them. It can be quite amusing. If you've got somebody like me on the boat, it can be very amusing. Or just just enjoy the scenery and watch the hire boats go. And then when you're comfortable, book. You can book in advance and get quite a good discount. The other thing to do is wait till last minute and hope for a cancellation. And sometimes you get those, especially if you're outside of school time. If you're in school time, then book it well in advance. If you've hired a boat before, or if you're thinking of hiring a boat, then drop your advice or your questions into the comments and I'll come back to you when I can. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed this, please give me a little thumbs up. And if you could subscribe, I'd be super grateful. Thank you ever so much. And I will see you for the next vlog. Au reservoir.